There's a fly ball to right field. Downey gives it a look. It's in the lower portion of the kudzu monster, and we are all tied at 3 as Hyland has hit his 3rd home run of the tournament. And
Jay Hyland, what have you been eating for breakfast?
Motivational Recovery's mission is to spread hope and inspiration to those that are still struggling, to help them overcome the challenges that come in recovery and show them their limitless potential.
Hey, what's happening? Good afternoon. Welcome to the No Matter What podcast, brought to you by Motivational Recovery. I'm your host, Jason Hyland. I want to say thank you for joining us here today. Talk about when we're at our lowest point, when we feel there is no hope, that all is lost. We've lost all connections with society as a whole. It's just ourselves and our mind. And it's a tough spot to be in. I can speak from experience, having spent a lot of time in my life there. And now I'm the furthest thing from that. I learned how to get out of my own head. I learned how to find positives in situations that seem so dire, and I'd like to discuss that and give you a few tips that have worked for me and some of the things that I actually went in detail in my book, Stop Thinking Like That, No Matter What, in chapter 13, which was called The Long Game Positive. And in that chapter, I went into how we can retrain our brain and rewire it so that we can now take negative situations, negative circumstances, and make them positive or find a positive out of them. And once this started really happening in my life, and the littlest things were just being changed immediately to positive, I was aware of it. I was catching myself, and it was really a great feeling and a great experience, because I realized things are changing. And this happened maybe 5, 6, 7 months into my recovery as I was ending my stay in a 6-month program. And a lot of it has to do with what we surround ourselves with. And by that I mean the people, the places, and the things. We are who we are the company of, right? And if we're always around negative people, toxic people, then their characteristics, their traits are inevitably going to wear off on us. And so we want to, first things first, remove ourselves from all toxicity. And that can be some very difficult decisions, because it might be family, it might be close friends. And you know what? If they're holding you back from going after all that you desire, then why would you want them in your life? If they're going to only continue to tell you, you can't, well then I'm going to tell them, I can't hang out with you anymore. I can't spend any more time with you. I'll be cordial, I'll be nice and hello, but I'm not going to waste any of my time with you, because all you're trying to do is bring me down and take me away from living the life that I want. Because in the end, I am only in control of my destiny. You are only in control of your destiny. So in order to live that life that we want to, we got to make sure we're living it for ourselves. A whole nother podcast I could do on living for others. There is so much that can really be spoken about that, and how it can really, really take a toll on an individual. It can take years and years away from someone, and it's unfair to that person. It's unfair to be thinking that every single move you make, the outcome is determined by someone else's opinion on you. Your happiness is determined by an outside circumstance, and your sadness. And again, that's a podcast for another day that I'd be happy to get into detail with, because we've all been there, we've all done that. But speaking from experience, we need to, first things first, remove ourselves from any toxic situation, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job. What's the point of going to a job if we hate going there? There's just there's no fun in that, living for a paycheck, doing something just to have a paycheck to make ends meet, to live in mediocrity. And that's what we need to get away from. If we're at work and the people are always just constantly nagging, work sucks, I hate this job, I can't wait to 5 o'clock, can't wait to get to happy hour. Again, not only is the job toxic, but the people you're surrounding yourself, your coworkers, are toxic. And that's just not an environment that's really going to create any abundance in life, and positive abundance, or have any positive impact on us. So we need to remove ourselves from those situations. Toxicity is what needs to go before anything else. The longer we are stuck with those people nagging us and dragging us down, the longer we're going to have to take to get to where we're trying to go. And again, that's where we're trying to go. The life we want to live to better ourselves. The happier we are, the better off the people that are around us. It works twofold. So if someone's going to complain about us spending a lot of time doing what we love, trying to make more money, trying to help more people, whatever the case may be, well, then that's not a person you want to be around. And those are where some tough decisions will need to take place. After removing the toxicity, it's now, what are we going to do? Just the opposite. Surround ourselves with the people that we know are doing well, are doing better, especially when it comes to recovery. I remember when I first started going to AA meetings at my program, we had to go to 400 meetings in 6 months, 2 every day and 3 on Mondays. And what I did early on was I found the people in those meetings that I saw were just happy. They didn't necessarily have all the things in life, because material things to me now are just irrelevant. It's about what is going to make me happy. My definition of success is waking up with a smile on my face, waking up happy to live another day. And I don't need the materialistic things to do so. Now, of course, I'm not going to lie. There are some things that I certainly want and that I'm striving to get. And I got to work hard, work my ass off to get so. And going back to when I would enter these meetings, or when a commitment came in, when I was still in detox and waiting for the long-term program, I would seek out those individuals that I didn't want to say I wanted to be like, but I wanted to have the happiness that they had. I wanted to have the constant smile. I wanted to have the conversations they were having with others, socializing, and really just, you could tell they were enjoying life. So I did just that. I would seek them out, and I would just hang on their coattails for a while, or I just, I'll have an ear for listening to try what they're saying, or what they're doing to make that happiness and that positive, mindset, what they were doing to maintain that. And I made that really my mission at the beginning, and I wanted to be like, be like them, but in my own way. I wanted to live my life how I wanted to live, but in order to do so, I did need to find myself the people that were doing right. And a lot of the people that I were in that program with were not doing anything of that. They were just hanging around with the same old people and expected different results. As we all pretty well aware, it's the definition of insanity. You just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different outcome. Well, that's not going to happen if you're still hanging out with the same exact people that you were when you were out there using. Even if you're in a program, you're not staying at home, you're in this structured program, but every meeting you go to, you're with the same group of people. You're always hanging out with the same group of people whenever you can, go out on the town. Or you're always talking to the same people, communicating, whether it's on social media, over the phone and whatnot. Those are the people that brought you to where you are now. Let's remember that. Those are the very people that put you in the situation where you have to be in a program for 6 months. I can tell you, I do not have any friends that I had while I was out going to the bars, while I was out, doing drugs. Not one of those people is one of my friends today. And that's sad. It hurts because, those relationships were meaningful at some point. But, their priorities are their priorities, and mine are far from that. Mine are from just being at the very bottom, lost, hopeless, just waking up to live another day of, the struggle of finding the high, isolating, going to bed, begging the man upstairs to please end it, waking up and just repeating and repeating. And the people that I did spend any time around, if I did go out to the bars, they weren't trying to be a positive influence on me. They weren't encouraging me to go do the best I can, encouraging me to live the best life I can, encouraging me to, maybe you need to get help. They weren't doing that. And, again, that's not their fault. I'm not their problem. And once I started seeing that those people no longer exist in my life, the longer my sobriety came, and there was no phone calls, there was no text, there was no messages on social media saying, hey, how are you doing? None of that. My friends to this day are the same ones that I've had throughout the process that were behind me. They weren't partying with me, but they were behind me and they were supporting me, and they knew that if I ever needed help, if I was going to go and try to get help, that they would be there for me. And there's only a few of them, and that's fine with me, because I only need a few of those people to support me and to be behind me in order for me to live the best life, the life that I want, a life full of abundance, a life full of successes. And again, that's just being happy. Helping others makes me happy. And that's why I have this podcast, because I want to be able to give back to those what I've received during these 18 plus months of my recovery. And it's been such a beautiful, beautiful journey. Removing that toxicity, starting to surround myself with, the people that I know are going to have a positive influence on me, seeing their traits, seeing the confidence, their swag that they carried themselves with. Those really were the people I needed to be around and consistently, seek out. Now, there's not many of those in AA halls or in detoxes or in programs. Let's just be real and call it what it is. There's not many at all. And that's part of the motivation I had for writing my book, is I wanted to show others that you can still have happiness. You can still live out the life you've always wanted to live, and then some. Even though you're in recovery, clean and sober, I know I can do anything in the world. Point blank. That's how it works. It's up to me. I choose my destiny. It's up to me to have that mindset to be able to say, okay, that's a shitty situation. I failed there. Those people hold me back. Whatever the case may be. What can I take out of that to be better moving forward? Failure, another podcast for the future that I could talk for hours and hours on. I take each failure as an opportunity. And a quote that I go by is just, failure is the gateway to opportunity. Because each failure is going to be one less way of knowing how to get to where I need to get. Or what I'm also going to get from that is, what did I do wrong? Or what did I do right? What do I need to do more of? What do I need to do less of? Whatever the case may be. And that's how we turn a negative into a positive. I can speak for myself. When I had a gym, one of my lifelong goals was to open a gym. And after playing a couple of years of pro ball down in New Mexico and Texas, I came home and I opened my own gym, AP Plus, Athletes Performance Plus, right in the middle of a college campus, in the city over. I built it from the ground up. I demoed the entire place, and I had a vision one night in a dream that it was like a year and a half prior to opening. I had a dream. It woke me up. The vision was so real that I wrote it down on paper like 4 a.m. A year and a half later, that became reality. And that just shows you, one, the power of the universe, the law of attraction, and it just, conceive, believe, achieve, which is another quote and motto you hear me speak a lot of. And that gym didn't last more than, I think it was, 10 months. And it's because, one, alcoholism became, complete control of my life. I was drinking every single day while, trying to help people get better. Talk about being a hypocrite. And it really hurt me for a while. I look back at pictures because that was my baby. I really, baseball was no longer with me in regards to playing, but I got to, I had batting cages in the basement. I got to train kids down there still and train people to get healthier and to get more fit. Crazy thing of all that is I never worked out once in that gym. Never worked out once in my own gym. The only time I ever did any exercises was to show the person who I was training how to do whatever exercise it is we were moving on to. And that sucks. That sucks a lot. But you know what? Today I can look back at that experience and realize when I do start my next business venture, whether it's right now with, who I'm becoming, motivational speaker, author, recovery coach, peer specialist, starting my own thing with motivational recovery, or if I, in the future, want to open another gym, what I learn most is what not to do, how to prepare better, plan out what needs to be done versus just jumping into something with guns a-blazing and not have any clue. I am all about taking risk, and you have to take risk in order to really grow and to go after and gain what you really, really want. But I went completely unprepared and just had the typical, I can do this on my own, and it's ridiculous. Just like I can get clean and sober on my own. Yeah, that's why it took me over 10 years to do so, and I didn't do it on my own, of course. So I learned from that failure. Now, it might have been a few years later. I closed that gym in 2014, but I learned from it. And that's the key. It was a very negative situation, how things ended there, how it really didn't get anything out of it at the time. But now I use that experience and I made it into a positive because I know now what to do on top of what not to do. The mistakes that I made, I can learn from those. And it goes for any situation there is. All those negative situations we found ourselves in at one point or another, we can take a positive out of it. And that was 4 years ago. And that's another thing is, we can't expect that instant gratification every single time. I know we want it, especially, for an addict, we want that fix. Yes, I'm running the marathon. Please help support the mental health and recovery communities of inner city Boston and donate today. Thank you.